Good evening and welcome to this edition of Get the Skinny on Beachbody Weekly Chat. And guess what? He's back. Yes, that's right. Tom Berkemeyer is back. And of course, we have Hannah and Amethyst, who has an exciting announcement to make. What would that be, Amethyst?
I joined.
You joined what?
Beachbody, be a coach.
Yay! Congratulations.
I thought you were going to say you joined the chess club or something.
Joined the what?
I thought you were going to say you joined the chess club or something, or the Glee club.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Are you excited?
No, I'm very, very, very extremely stressed.
Oh, no reason, because guess what? I was going to say as a joke, Tom's going to be with you every step of the way, but I mean, we're going to be with you every step of the way. Woo, right?
Yes, we is a lot better than I.
We is a lot better, yeah. All right, there's no I in team. Okay, so tonight we are going to, actually Tom is going to be at the forefront of our conversation this evening. He has a very interesting twist on the mindset that coaches should have to be successful in this business. And he's going to take it away in just a moment with that. But he also just came back from an exciting cruise. What was that all about?
The cruise? Oh, I was with a group called the Anti-Aging Getaway Group, and every year we go on a cruise. And there's workshops, and we learn about anti-aging fountain of youth kind of stuff so that we can look and feel more youthful and younger as we get older, something everybody's interested in. So it has nothing to do with Beachbody, but it is wellness. So I can certainly learn from there and create content with the intention of, inspiring people to ask me about what I'm doing. So that maybe some unnamed individual might join us in what we're doing with Beachbody and health and wellness, or who knows what. So it's a lot of fun to learn that stuff, and also to learn that stuff so that you can grow a business anywhere inside of the wellness industry, I think.
Yeah, very cool.
And to do it in a location like that on a cruise ship, going to Cabo San Lucas or wherever we're going, that's pretty cool. That's pretty sweet. And then to buy the Wi-Fi package, which is a tax write-off, by the way. The whole trip is a tax write-off because I was learning about stuff to do with our profession in wellness. But to do live feeds, like every day I got these notes and I decided to go on a live feed and just read my notes and ad-lib wherever and make those videos. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. So what was the most mind-blowing or interesting thing that you learned on this cruise?
This is where I sound like a weakling because on the spot, I rarely remember these things. I have to go look at my notes and see what I underlined, like whatever has the thickest underline to it. Because whenever I go to something where I'm learning something, I always like to put stars or an underline next to at least one thing that I'm committed to doing before my head hits the pillow that night.
Very cool.
So that all just doesn't go to waste and I can intellectually masturbate about it the next day. I'm going to do something with it. So, right. But yeah, on the spot, I just don't remember.
Okay, well, obviously, no, obviously there was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot.
So okay. I got to take notes.
That's right. Okay, well, enough about that, unless, of course, it comes up later. So, Tom, take it away.
All right, so I guess I'm going to talk about the mindset of a new coach. Is it just anything specific or just start talking?
Well, it could be something specific or you could just start talking. But we had a very interesting conversation the last time you were on the show about, the particular mindset that you think that the people should have when they're doing this kind of business. Okay,
cool. So I'm going to start out with Amethyst's example because she represents a macrocosm of 99.9% of every person that starts in the network marketing business or anything that's really brand new and really outside of the box. We're stressed, we're overwhelmed, and no matter how many times your coach or your mentor says, let's do this in digestible pieces, we cannot help ourselves. We're going to think ahead and we're going to get overwhelmed and stressed out anyway, no matter how many times we hear to do the opposite. So that's a very human, normal thing to do. I did it. I stressed myself out in the beginning. I made myself sick. I even got nauseous a few times, which is no fun. But through the opportunity that presented to grow in that area, I no longer get nauseous when I'm asked to do things that are uncomfortable, unless it's to talk to a pretty girl out somewhere. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. But outside of that one area, Anytime I'm outside of the box, I don't get nauseous anymore. I don't get sick. I'm actually very calm. And there might be a little bit of butterflies going on, depending on what's going on, but I do it and I'm fine. And for the most part, it's a pretty calming, peaceful, but exciting experience. It's kind of like the concept of how can you be so busy, but there's a calmness to the busyness, a calmness within the storm. And I'm a workaholic. I love being very busy, fast paced. I love the hustle and all that stuff. But I do it with a really cool, euphoric, calm state. I'm extremely focused and I'm calm and I really enjoy it. Otherwise, I'd be bored. And so when a new coach comes into this thing, it's not just about a mindset about, thinking differently about things, but it's also being completely obedient with this philosophy of digestible bits and pieces at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If you're thinking about eating the whole elephant all at once, oh my God, you're going to be overwhelmed. And in something like this, since you don't know what you're doing when you first enroll, then you cannot possibly have a plan to finish. You have a plan to get started and not look past steps 1 or 2. And then when you get to step 1 or 2, things are going to reveal itself to you. And then with the help of your team, all of us, when a person comes into this, as you go through this process in little digestible pieces at a time, it's going to reveal itself to you. So there's no logical reason to be stressed out or to be overwhelmed. And believe me, I'm fully aware that 99.9% of everybody is going to be stressed and overwhelmed at first. So it's like, if you got to go through it, then go through it. Get out of that phase as soon as possible so that this can be a fun process. That's my advice on that. So beyond that, the mindset and from what I've experienced, and probably just about everybody else, if not everybody else, the typical concerns that people have for not doing something like this is money, time, and probably skill. Those 3 things, money, time, and skill. I don't really get people hardly ever that say that it doesn't work or that it's fake, because we're, blood, sweat, and tears, we're working out, we're getting the heart and lungs going. Everybody knows that's real stuff. So I don't really get the thing of, is it real or not? It's just money, time, and skills. I don't know what I'm doing. So before somebody comes into this who's interested, but they say, I can't because I don't have the time, then the mindset shift, specifically the shift is, I'm sick and tired of not having any time. So I need leveraged money, because right now I don't have leveraged money. I'm trading my time for it. Therefore, I will never have any time. So because a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want to be in a place where I emerge at some point in the future, I've got some free time and I can own my life again. I have to get started. So because I don't have any time, that's a perfect reason why I have to get started, because if I don't get started, then I'll be bitching about the same thing a year from now. So I have to get started, period. Take money. I don't have money. So if you live in the United States of America and you're however old you are, beyond 18, and you can't put together a couple $100, then go sell your blood or figure out whatever you have to do, because there's no reason for it living in this country when you have all this opportunity available for you. So if you don't have the money to get started, it's a perfect reason to figure that out, raise the money, and get started. Now for that, it requires some outside of the box thinking, because the fact is a fact. If your bank account reads 0 or negative something, that's a fact. It's a problem, but it's something that can be solved. So when I got started, I didn't have an income. I had no government subsidies coming in. And one of my initial excuses was, I don't have any money, I got no income. So it was 3.5 months later that I enrolled. So somewhere in that 3.5 months, probably towards the end of the 3 months when I enrolled, I flipped a switch on that. It's like, okay, I don't have any money, sick of not having any money. I want to emerge at some point in the future where I've got some money, so I have to get started. And so I got creative, and I came up with 31 ways of raising money without having any. So people think you need money to make money. That's not true. So you can find ways to make money without having any. Nowadays you can Google and YouTube it. A few things I figured out on my own, but there was a lot of other things I figured out just by doing simple little searches on Google, and I think YouTube was just starting or coming around back then. But anyway, I compiled a list of 31 ways to do it. So then I did raise the money, and I did get started, and then I just got my ass to work. I hustled every day so that I could, pay that off and start making some money. And then the other thing, the other of the 3 big things is skill. I don't know what I'm doing. And this is something I'm going to hear because I've been doing it for so long and I look like a natural in my videos, because now I am. And so people will say, it sounds really interesting. I'd love to do it, but you got skill, Tom, and I don't know what I'm doing. And so then it's like, yeah, in the beginning, I didn't have any skill, but that was a perfect reason to get started because I love learning. So do you like to learn new things too? Do you want to learn something beyond what you already know? And nobody really says no to that. So, and that's, in my opinion, the biggest one is the skill thing, because that's the umbrella over the other two issues, whether it's time or money or skill. It's all the same thing. So you don't have time. It's just something you got to learn about. Maybe better time management. Money is just something you got to learn about. Maybe you need to learn how to make money without having any. Maybe you can sell your labor to the neighbors to move boxes in a basement or mow their lawn or something. I don't know. So that was one of the things I did. I found a lady's house to paint for $300. That was one of the things I did. I could play guitar, so I'm like, I should do guitar lessons. I don't have a shop. Well, damn. Okay, well, I can travel to people's houses, and maybe they pay me. It's convenient for them. They don't have to leave. So that was another way I raised money. And also selling a few things on eBay back in that day that I didn't need anymore. It didn't create a lot of money, but that one did create a few extra dollars. And on and on and on. There's all kinds of examples. You just got to get a little creative. And all of those examples, I didn't need any money to start making money with. So whether it's time, money, or skill, it's all a matter of, do you want to learn something new, or do you just want to be a laggard and stay stuck inside of this little box of what you already know? That's what it boils down to, whether it's time or whatever it is. Do you want to learn something new, or do you want to stay constricted and get dumber as you get older? That about it. And the same thing with Overwhelm. It's just, I guess, learning something new. If you learn that, how you eat an elephant is one bite at a time, if you learn that and you really believe that, then it's easy. But everybody hears that, but people are still going to stress anyway because they don't really subscribe to it. They don't believe in it emotionally. The journey of 1,000 miles anybody can take if they take it one step at a time. But we're humans. We can't help ourselves, at least in the beginning until we get over that. Then we don't emotionally subscribe to that. So therefore, we're going to stress out. We're going to feel overwhelmed and so forth. And I guess one last thing I will say right now, because this is really representative of 99.9% of everybody that gets involved in this. And that's, where was I going with that? Oh my God, I hate it when that happens.
Did it have to do with being overwhelmed?
What's that?
Did it have to do with being overwhelmed?
It did. I was going to make a very fine point about one last point about it, and I can't flip and remember what it was going to be.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here it is. Here. I got it. Okay. So with a business like this, you can do it at your own pace. You don't have to sprint. It's great if you want to sprint, but you don't have to. You can walk. You can go slow. You can even have an incubation period. And a lot of coaches actually do have an incubation period between when they sign up and when they actually start doing the work. Well, guess what? Your placement is always going to be there. As long as you keep up with your monthly business fee of $15.95, which starts on the second month, by the way, but your placement is going to be secure. So there's no reason to get overwhelmed. Your placement, you bought it, it's secure, it's yours, you own it. So if you want to take your time, do just simple little things every day, or even if you wanted to wait a week, some people wait. I don't know why they wait, but they have that option, they can. It's like you can move at whatever pace you want to move at. And it's okay because it's yours, you own it. That's a hallmark, one of many hallmarks of what we do, is that it's your business, you own it, and because you own it, you can move at whatever pace you want. It just depends on how much you want to push yourself and how much you want to hustle or take your time. You might have phases of going full throttle versus half throttle. It's just sort of your thing. And when I started, I started full throttle, and then I hit a brick wall like right away. And then I stopped for a while, and I wasn't that consistent. And then eventually, I started getting into a habit because it had to be consistent. I had about 20 minutes a day when college started back up. So that's a big part of my story, that first year or so, year and a half, something like that. When I was consistent, it was about 20 minutes a day, broken up in about 5 or 10 minutes or so at a time. But it's when I got consistent, and even just that 20 minutes a day, that's a pretty slow pace, I think. But it was enough to get the ball rolling, and it was my decision because it was my business. There was no reason to be overwhelmed. And when I stopped feeling overwhelmed and getting nauseous and all those things, I think that was just I think Jim Rohn, listening to his audio stuff, Jim Rohn talked a lot of personal development, really great mindset training stuff. I guess eventually, I don't think there was ever like a light bulb that just went off in my brain and I stopped being overwhelmed. I think that was a process for me that took some time. And I stopped getting nauseous and I stopped turning green in the face. But, you know, yours truly, not pointing any fingers, I guess I had to go through that process too, no matter how much I heard it to keep it digestible. So I understand if someone comes into this and they're going to be overwhelmed and stressed no matter what. It's just a human thing. Makes no sense. I did it. Made no sense. But we do it. And I'm really looking forward to every coach that comes into this to get past that nervousness and that overwhelm and that stress phase. Okay.
Do you think that some of the overwhelm comes from playing the comparison game? Like, you know, you're overwhelmed already by the fact that, you know, you got the whole time, the whole money, the whole, I'm overwhelmed because I don't really feel like I have the skills. But then you start getting immersed in the culture and you see, you know, some of the top coaches and you listen to the, you know, the morning wake up call and you start to get overwhelmed because you start playing the comparison game.
That is different from person to person. What motivates. So some people are extremely motivated by comparing themselves to others. It pushes them and they attach a positive energy that doesn't make them sick. It just causes them to hustle and to feel great about themselves. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of other people, and I don't know if it's most people or we'll just call it half and half because I don't know. There's other people where if they start comparing themselves, it's like an itis, and we'll call it compare-itis. It's an inflammation of the brain, stress, overwhelmed. And those people, they need to be honest with themselves and say, okay, this comparing thing, it doesn't work. It doesn't motivate me in the right way. It's making me sick. I need to cut it out. And so then, you know, the game is, I guess you're comparing yourself to yourself. Are you any better than you were last week, last year, whatever? Have you learned some new things? Are you performing better, feeling better? Where's your skill at, you know, this time last week, last month, last year? So now your competitor is against, you know, yourself. You're just trying to beat your personal best. And I think by and large, that is the better way to go. But, you know, there's some people that do really well by thinking about how other people are doing, and they just want to one-up that person. Not to despite them or anything like that. It's just a game they play with themselves. It's like, yeah, they'll congratulate that person. But at the same time, they're like, yeah, I want to, you know, one-up that person because it motivates me.
Okay. Well, it occurs to me at this point that we should say, hello, Shelley.
Hi, sorry I was late.
Hi.
Okay, what's your excuse? No, just kidding.
I'll tell you after.
All right, well, glad you're here. You got that cold? You got that cold that's going around?
Yes.
Yes, welcome to the club.
I'm over it, and it needs to go away.
Yeah, totally.
But it's much better than it was. Thank you, technology.
Oh, good.
So, thankfully, it moves out pretty quickly with that.
I had my Shakeology every day on the ship and every day on my whole trip, regardless.
Yep, exactly.
Yay.
So I think today is 72
stuff.
days in a row for 2018. Is today the 72nd day?
What?
I think it's day 72 for 2000.
Oh, for the, I have no idea. I never thought about that.
Yep, yeah, because it's been over 3 years total, but for this year.
Okay.
So
does anybody have any questions about what I talked about or anything you want me to explain more? Or
Come on, guys.
about the changing of the mindset? Here's another way to look at it. And Robert Kiyosaki, I think, taught me this. So by the time we get into something like this, we have a lifetime worth of really bad thinking in terms of how we're going to support ourselves and our livelihood and provide security and real stability for ourselves and our family. And it's not our parents' fault or anything like that. They're just, you know, it is what it is. But so when you come into something like this, it takes some time to unwind that. And, you know, the overwhelm and stress and all that is a result of a lifetime of bad thinking in the context of how you're going to make money and the quality of money that you're making. So, I mean, a lifetime of bad thinking takes some time to unwind. It just does. It took me some time, takes everybody some time. Just go through the process and take in as much good personal development, some great ideas, great philosophies. As far as that kind of stuff goes, I think Jim Rohn is my all-time favorite. When I listen to him, he is so logical and lays it out in a very simple way. And when it's simple, it's not stressful. So maybe that's why I like Jim Rohn so much when it comes to that. Like non-mechanical kind of stuff, even though he does get into mechanical stuff. But yeah, Jim Rohn.
What's that?
Anybody that's
does that
feeling
mean?
stressed. What's that?
Mechanical, non-mechanical. What's that mean?
Mechanical is like how to, like, let's say the invitation process, how to invite people, the kind of things you should say, and the psychology behind it all. That's more of a how to, like here's steps 1, 2, and 3. And non-mechanical is just going to be work on your brain, how you think, your personal philosophies, how they affect what you do and how they make you feel, swapping out bad ideas for good ideas or ideas that don't serve you for ideas that do serve you. Just an overall refinement of the way that you think and how it makes you feel and how it affects what you do. And I think Jim Rohn is the all-time master at that. So you can YouTube search him all day long. There's all kinds of stuff. And he's really great. He's my all-time favorite when it comes to like non-mechanical stuff.
Don't you think that one of the bad types of learning that people really need to get over is this whole notion of how they feel about money? Because there's a lot of bad connotations in our culture today about money.
Right. I'm very loud and proud about a positive energy towards making as much money as you can, keeping what you need for yourself and your family, and putting the rest of it to work to add some kind of value benefit for other people, other critters we share the planet with, and the planet itself.
Mm-hmm. But the culture is hypocritical, because on the one level it says we should, on the one side it says, you should aspire, to have wealth, but on the other side it says money is evil.
So that's part of the lifetime of bad thinking that a person has to unwind. And speaking of that quote that references the Bible, I know everybody here knows about this, but whenever somebody says money is evil, they're getting that wrong. That says the love of money is the root of evil.
Right.
Money doesn't have a central nervous system or any conscious thought. So it's the energy that we attach to it. Are you going to make money by poisoning people or hurting people? If you're going to make money by hurting people, then we need you to make billions of dollars so that we can defund the criminals of the world, and then we can flip and do something about homelessness and starvation and children's sex slave rings and all these other problems.
Right. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. It's not evil, and it has no energy of its own. That's absolutely true.
Right. Just like words mean nothing without context and the person behind the context and the meaning of it.
Right. Okay. This is kind of related to money, but a little different. There's also, people get into this business and they think that this business is about making money, but they think it's about being salesy, and it's all about just making sales, and that trips them up as well.
The money, in my view, should be seen as a byproduct of adding a benefit to people that they're willing to pay for.
Right.
So that's a pretty cool way to make. That's a pretty cool way to make money.
I didn't hear what you said.
What's that?
Byproduct of what? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, the money, in my view, should be seen as a byproduct or a result of, helping somebody benefit their lives through health and fitness, and also maybe getting out of debt or getting ahead financially.
Yeah.
So the money is a result of that.
Yeah. It's really interesting to me, and I think we've talked about this way back, but if I tried to benefit someone's life by telling them where they could get a really good deal or a better price on a dress that they're looking at right now in a store, or where they could really get a fantastic plate of sushi, or they, could, the best price on a gym in town, and they get fantastic classes, or whatever the case may be, people really appreciate those kinds of, referrals. But when you say to someone, let's just say, you said, let's say we're just talking about Shakeology, for example. If somebody, asks you what you're drinking, and they notice, the changes in you, and they ask if it's related to, what you're consuming, and you say yes, and then they say, oh, well, I heard that you could only buy that from a rep, and do you sell it? And then you say, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Then they're totally revulsed. But so what is up with that psychology? Okay,
so there's a lot of ways to look at this. And of course, if you recommend a deal or whatever, to somebody, they're going to be grateful because you're not financially benefiting from that.
Right.
So when people draw that analogy, it's really inaccurate and incomplete because in this example, we are benefiting from it financially.
Right.
So what I like to say to people is, I've been drinking this and selling it for years. Would you like to take a look at it to see if you'd like to try it too? So boom, right up front. I mean, we have our own customer experience with it. It's a vital behavior is to have our customer experience. So why not say, yeah, I've been drinking this and selling it, like in the same breath. So they know that I'm not selling something that I'm not using. I'm selling something I am using, and I'm selling it, and it's right up front. So I kind of like doing that. And it's not every time I'll do it that way. I mean, most of the time it just feels natural to me. And if it would feel weird in a particular instance, then I wouldn't mention it. So a lot of this, you got to go based on just the flow of the conversation, what feels natural and organic. And at first, that may be confusing, but the more that you do it, the more practice, the more this thing reveals itself, and the more you find your niche and your groove and things that work for you, things that don't work for you. But a lot of times I just like when I'm inviting somebody, my basic invitation is something like, hey, Sally, would you be at all interested in looking at a side health and wealth project to see if it would be a good fit for you? And a lot of people that write back will say, it depends. Sure. What is it? Okay. What do you got? Various ways. And then I'll start to send them the Introducing Team Beachbody video, which talks about the health and the wealth aspect of it. And my basic question is, what do you see that you like the most? What makes more sense to you, the health, the wealth, or both? And then we'll just go from there. Mm-hmm. Or if I'm just sharing Shakeology, somebody's asking me about it, it's like in my posts on my social media, I call it a superfood shake. If you want to know more about it, just private message me. I can send you a link. You can take a look at it. Something like that. And so people will message me and say, hey, cool, thanks for messaging me. I love this shake. Here's the link. I've been drinking this and selling this for years. There's 7 different flavors. I like the chocolate vegan. Which one looks the tastiest to you? Or something like that. Some kind of a question to increase the likelihood of, some kind of a conversation going. But I mean, that's all worded in there. It's like, hey, here's the link to the superfood shake I talked about. I've been drinking this and selling this for years and years. I just love it. My favorite is the chocolate vegan. There's other flavors. What do you see in there that you'd like to try?
Shelly's laughing at me. She just wrapped a blanket around herself, and I'm taking my jacket off because I'm too hot.
I'm sitting here with a space heater pointed at me.
I know.
Freezing, and you're taking your jacket off.
Sorry, Tom. We didn't mean to.
That's a great way to word it, Tom. I like that. Like you said, depending on the conversation, not just throw that.
Yeah.
But
right. But
about it.
As a general rule of thumb, though, that's basically what I say. It's like, yeah, here's the link. I've been drinking and selling this for years. I love it. Chocolate vegan is my favorite. What do you see on here that you'd like the most, that you think you'd like to try? And it might be worded a little different each time, but that's the gist of it. Those are the bullet points I'd say that I communicate with them. Mm-hmm. Or another great question, instead of which one would you like to try, could be, do you have some health goals you'd like to talk about? Or what are your health goals? Or do you have some fitness goals? Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Yeah, just keep that in mind, because that bugs me when people draw. Well, if you recommend a restaurant and somebody really likes it, well, they're not going to get mad. Well, that's not an accurate, complete analogy, because you're not financially benefiting from that. We are from this, so let's communicate it.
Yeah, being upfront about it and just being like, just basically, well, earlier in the conversation, we were talking about, eating the elephant one bite at a time, but part of this is also about just confronting the elephant in the room and not making a big deal about it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Confronting the elephant in the room, but not making a big deal about it. Yeah. That's very good. I like that.
Yeah. So the way that you, I agree with Shelley. The way that you phrase that, it's very natural. It's very just matter of fact, and it just kind of it addresses the elephant in the room, and you're over, and you're over it. It's over and done.
Every time anybody says the word overwhelm, I hear Coach Jimmy in my head, Jimmy Nelson, because he calls that the O word, and it's not the good O word, it's the O word, because overwhelm is a choice. And he said you can decide that you're going to use that as an excuse and run away from said elephant, Or you can say, okay, it's time for me to focus more on, you know, and make the decision to go for a toe or a trunk instead of the whole elephant.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, just one piece. So like maybe you're going to send out one invitation that's your only God blessed focus, or you're going to feel overwhelmed.
Right. So you
Maybe.
choose to send out that invitation instead of choosing to be like, this is too hard and running away.
Yeah. And
So,
it's also important that somebody, whether a new coach, especially someone that's not even a coach yet, they're thinking about signing up and they're thinking about a plan of how they're going to start and finish. That's impossible. That's craziness. They don't know. They have no idea. So it's like, really, the only way you can do something like this is you plan to start and let the process reveal itself. And you focus on one thing at a time as you do that.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool that we have a new coach here on the call with us. So what is the first thing that well, Amethyst is doing the Coach Alpha training, isn't she? Yes, you are,
Yeah.
aren't you?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand what Tom just said. You repeat that.
Oh,
Which part?
Plan to start.
Oh, a new coach, someone that's looking at this, needs to hear this probably most of all because they're not even in yet. And then, of course, all the way through the enrollment and you're a new coach, you have to have a plan to take the first step. You just plan to get started. That's as far as you can go in your head because you cannot plan to finish. You just, we even with all the skills that I have, I can't plan to finish because things pop up, things happen, wrenches get thrown at you. But especially someone that doesn't even know the foundation of this, you can only plan to get started. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming. Someone that's not even enrolled yet, they'll use that as a reason, this is too hard, I can't figure it out. No shit, you can't figure it out. You haven't learned anything yet. All you can figure out is, I'm going to do step one. That's it. And then you focus on that step one to get to step two, and then you focus on that step two, and then let it all reveal itself. And you'll learn so much that way without being overwhelmed. And that's among the biggest lessons for a new coach and also someone who's looking at this, to just emotionally grasp that concept.
Okay, you said plan to start and that process reveal itself.
Yeah, plan to start, focus on one thing at a time, and the process is going to reveal itself. You're going to learn things that work for you, things that don't work for you. You scale up in things that do work for you. And every getting past the overwhelm is one example of an opportunity that presents itself for you to, learn something about yourself. And as you figure it out, you journal it, and then you can write blogs, posts, videos. You can show other people how you got past it, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, which is like what I'm doing right now, because I experienced all of those things too for quite a while. I'd say it was a solid year and a half, I would say, that I had overwhelm, stress, and I would get sick, and somebody, canceling would make me nauseous and all these other things. That went on for a good solid year and a half, I would say, until I got over that. Now, I think someone could do it much quicker because now somebody has the benefit of learning from people like me and other people. I mean, it could be gotten over within a matter of days versus a year and a half, I think, just because of all of us here who've been there, done that, been through it, and we can share what we've learned.
it's funny. It's one of those weird things, but I'm not going to my computer. I'm sorry. I learned EFT tapping with one of my kids, and before I did live videos, I used to have to go through the process of EFT tapping because I felt like I was going to throw up. I would be shaking and so scared to go live on Facebook that I would start tapping and being like, even though you're scared, it's okay, and then I could do it. And now I'm just like 10 times a day. Yeah, what's up? So you really can get over it. That was the skill that worked for me. That doesn't necessarily work for everybody. But
however,
you find things.
Do you still have to do that when you make a video?
No, that's what I'm saying. I learned to not have to do that anymore. That was the skill that helped me get over that overwhelming feeling.
Have you taught this yet in a blog post or a video?
I have talked about it, yes, in videos.
Okay, good. So then you can point somebody to a video, you can talk to them one-on-one. So that's another great example of an opportunity that presented itself for you, something to figure out. And so you got this great resource now where you teach it, you can point other people to it.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, well, we've got a couple minutes left.
Oh, here's the good kind of O right here. I was going to say that earlier, but I forgot when you were talking about the bad
Yes,
kind.
the good kind of O.
The good O word.
The good kind of O.
And how many O's is that today, Tom?
2.
2.
So you can call it multiple O's.
Multiple O's. Yeah, totally.
I got to coin that one too. I got to make that a Facebook post. I had 2 chocolate O's today. I had them in multiples. Well, I'll think of some clever way to word it later.
No doubt. Well, you're doing your Coach Alpha homework.
Yep. As soon as this is done, I haven't done day 2 yet. I did day 1. My PS coach, Melanie, did get back to me and gave me some suggestions for the 30-day planner thing that we filled out yesterday.
She did.
Honestly, I didn't know how to fill some of that stuff out. It didn't make any sense to me. So
I'm glad you said that because that made no sense to me at all.
yeah, I'll get in touch with you about that later, Amethyst.
But my answers made sense?
To me, they did.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Because I sent it to Tom.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why there's an acronym on there if it's supposed to be for new coaches, because you look at it and you're like, well, what the fuck does this mean? I have no idea.
Well, I'll talk about that in the after since we got less than 1 minute to go. But
Yeah.
that'll be some good to touch base on, I think, in the after.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, Tom, thanks so much. Very informative tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And just know in the future, if you join us, you can come to the after party. Woohoo! So goodbye, everyone.